Jurassic World Evolution 3 is coming out in just a few months, so to prepare for its release, we'll be ranking some prehistoric creatures which I wish would be in this game, ranked from the ones I least favor at number 10, and the ones that I most favor at number 1. For number 10, let's start off with the Thyreopora from the clade Stegosauria, named the Miragaia longicolum. All the fossils we got from this guy are some rib bits, tail bits, leg bits, and some Thagomizer bits, which is quite a bit, but it's still enough for Frontier to have a bit of creative leeway. This species is really not anything too special. After all, it's really just another stegosaur, but the reason I really want this in this game are the osteoderms. Osteoderms are basically the plates on a back of the stegosaur used for display, armor, and recognition, and those are commonly shown as triangular, like on the Stegosaurus. However, this thing don't got no triangles. It has spikes! But the way these osteoderms are positioned is still quite debated. Most show them as being upright, while others show them as being mixed up with the triangles, while others say forget about the thing that makes this dinosaur iconic in the first place, and go with the iconic all triangle set. Don't worry though, because I'm sure we'll figure out how these guys are really positioned in the future, but it will take a while. After all, the Stegosaurus went from looking from this monstrosity to this kaiju looking thing to what we finally think it looks like over the course of 100 years. Moving away from dinosaurs, at number 9 we have the Deinosuchus. This thing is basically a prehistoric alligator that preyed on plenty of deadly creatures, including the Tyrannosaurus. The reason this would work so well is because it could serve as a nice little demo for the new deep water feature. Since this thing resides in water, it could maybe hide in the deeper water, waiting to catch some unfortunate prey, just like how crocodiles work today. We don't have many creatures like this in the current game. The closest thing we have that resembles it is the Dimetrodon, and that is it. We need more crocodile-like creatures. After all, we have like pretty much 2 types of everything in Evolution 2. We have more than 2 small theropods, more than 2 small sauropods, definitely more than 2 crocodontosaurids, but we only have 1 croc-looking thing, and that is just unfair. For number 8, we have an abelisaurid named Rugops primus. Now this funny looking dude right here has a place on this list because of its unique head shape. This is another dinosaur where its appearance greatly varies from different depictions, so Frontier can once again have some creative leeway. It's sometimes depicted as having eyebrows, sometimes with chicken thingies on their chins, or just a funny looking head in general. Rugops is concluded to be roughly the size of a normal human being, so this can be added to the small collection of small but deadly carnivores. For number 7, we have the Smilodon, and this is the place in the video where things start to get good. Now, we've seen the Smilodon in Camp Cretaceous, but somehow we still haven't gotten it in Evolution 2. My main theory for why it's not in the game is because this friendly little house cat lived alongside humans, and although it's prehistoric, it still feels like something Frontier would add to Planet Zoo instead of Evolution 2. However, this thing would be absolutely epic to have in JWE3. It would have such unique animations considering it's so different to what's normally in the game. And after all, a good animation is what makes our enclosures feel so lively. Just look at those massive teeth too. That is worthy of at least an 1,000 appeal rating for you challenge mode players out there. Like, come on. This is surely a star attraction for our guests. Moving on to number 6, we have Beelzebufo, translating to the Devil Toad. Frankly enough, I would not want a radius of 200 kilometers between me and this creature because this thing is absolutely terrifying. This thing is a frog and it could eat an entire small dinosaur whole. It is one of the biggest species of frog we have ever found, and its existence in JWE3 would make the species variety so much more diverse. This frog's screen time in Prehistoric Planet made it the most feared creature ever to be put in a documentary. So seemingly chill, but it is an absolute monster. Just take a look at this.
Beelzebufo.
I know. Terrifying. But you still have to agree with me here. Having a giant frog in your enclosure would be absolutely sick. Imagine seeing this battling it out with a combi. That would be epic. Anyway, enough of some frogs that could eat your chihuahua. Let's go swimming. On to number 5, we have the Zephactinus. The only thing that makes this scary is its face. But apart from that, it's just a normal fish. But look at the selection of lagoon creatures we have in the current game. The only small lagoon creature in the current game is an Ichthyosaurus, and that really isn't anything too special. But if this thing would be added to the game, you would be flying off your seat in fear upon sight of this. This would have been a sailor's nightmare back in the time of Mr. Columbus if these things were alive back then. Just imagine going out fishing only for your catch to be ruined by this big boy. And not to mention, the Zephactinus ain't just a sleepy type guy, cause it's an absolute bullets. It ain't gonna slowly creep up on you. It's going to fly at you faster than a bullet the moment it gets the opportunity. Imagine this being in a fish market too. Just this creepy thing flopping around next to the other dead fishes. For number 4, we have the Rhamphorhynchus. If anything in the prehistoric world needed a dentist, it would be this thing. Those teeth are terrifying. Now, the Rhamphorhynchus here ain't too big, but still, if this thing bit you, you'd probably die. Apart from its terrifying teeth, what makes this pterosaur so special is its tail. At the end of it, it has something that can only be described as leaf-like. Imagine just being in an aviary, staring at the more iconic large pterosaurs, but then something catches your eye. A small but colorful pterosaur soaring around with its tail following right behind. And for you darker fellas out there, if this thing breaks loose, it will kill you. This thing is out to kill you. It's extinct, but it still looks like something the government would manufacture to kill its biggest enemies. This thing would give me nightmares back when I was 7. Now, before we get to the top 3, I'll use this time to say if you enjoyed the vibe of this video so far, you'll surely enjoy the vibe of the Paleo Parks Discord server. So if you want to hang around other people who enjoy my content, this server is the right one to be in. The link is of course down in the description. Moving on to the top 3, we have the Helicoprion. As you could probably tell, I want a whole lot more lagoon creatures in this next game. And that is because in the current game, we have so little. The Helicoprion is anything but a chill guy. If you saw this thing as you went shark diving, you would find feces in the back of your wetsuit, no doubt about it. Just face it. It has a buzzsaw for its mouth. This fish is still a bit too small to be feeding off the shark feeders, but it would still make feeding off the poor fishies entertaining. I literally have no other reason for it to be this high on this list apart from the fact that it looks really cool. And something looking cool is enough for Frontier to add it into the next game. It's such a mysterious fish too. When we first discovered it, we first thought the saw belonged on its back, which, depending on who you ask, it could be scarier, until we did a CT scan and figured out that the saw would be positioned right where your tongue would be. It's a creature with so much prehistoric value that it deserves to be in this game. Now, for number 2, we will be hopping out of the aviaries and onto land because we will be talking about my favorite avian dinosaur, the Archaeopteryx. A dinosaur which is commonly considered to be the earliest form of a bird. The Archaeopteryx is pretty small, only about the size of a European magpie, with its largest specimens reaching to the size of a raven. And unlike some avian dinosaurs, this thing could use its wings to produce lift. Of course, its wings weren't too strong, but it still did the job. We still have to thank the avians, cause without them, we wouldn't have our sparrows or eagles or anything of that sort. Since this thing could fly, it obviously spent a bunch of its time in trees, actually laying their eggs in trees for a better chance of them not being consumed by a larger creature. This creature is undoubtedly majestic, and seeing it be able to soar through the skies of our parks would be spectacular, and seeing it every now and then landing in some trees would also make things even more realistic and even more special. The Archaeopteryx like to feed on small insects and fish, but if the opportunity arose, they would scavenge. So just picture a prehistoric bird land upon the carcass of a dead tyrannosaur. How cool would that be? Now, before I announce my number 1 pick, I want to use this opportunity to kindly ask you guys to consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed this video so far. Now, let's move on to number 1. The number 1 creature I want in JWE3 is the Ammonites! By far, my favorite prehistoric ocean dweller would be the Ammonite. It's just the amount of diversity that their shells have that makes them so interesting. Most have spirals, some have cones on their head, and some look like they belong in a circuit board. But even though most specimens of Ammonite are pretty small, and probably unnoticeable if we put them in our lagoons, they still have some species reaching over the size of a human being. There was one Ammonite found in Germany that had a height of 1.8 meters, or the height of 5.9 feet. Which is about the size of a Homo sapien. This is a water snail, alright, and the fact that some of its species could have the height of a human is already insane to think about. I want this in the game so much because we need more diversity in the creatures that reside in the lagoon. Right now, in the lagoons, all we have are long necks and short necks. I do know that the lagoon DLC Frontier added later on to the game's lifespan was to add some more uniqueness into the lagoon. However, it didn't really cut it for me. I mean, turtles are cool, but they go so underappreciated because they're hidden under a paywall. To be honest, even if ammonites were just added as an extra source of food, I would still be happy since it's pretty realistic. After all, ammonites are so widespread throughout underwater prehistoric ecosystems that it's hard to believe a few prognathodons didn't stop over to some ammonite buffets. The ammonite is by far the prehistoric sea dweller which I know most about. They are such interesting but simple creatures to understand, and that's what makes them so special to me. So please, Frontier, this would be amazing to have in this new game. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also, tell me in the comments, what prehistoric creature do you wish was in JWE3? If you enjoyed this video, I guarantee you'll enjoy this one, where I rank my favorite features coming soon to JWE3. Have a great day, and see you next time.